Hi, everybody. Hello. How are you all doing today on this Tuesday? Hi, welcome. I see we still have some people trickling in, so I'll just give you a moment. Thank you so much for joining today. My name is Abby. Welcome to Mangomint's Feature Spotlight series. Super excited to have all of you joining today. So today we're going to give you an overview of all of our available business reports, and I'm going to share some tips and tricks for using those reports, and then also share some potential insights that you can get from our business reports to help guide your business decisions for your salon or spa. So today we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit today, and I've actually prepared some slides to guide you through some of our most popular business reports that we have. I think it'll be a little bit easier. I've kind of blown up some of the reports. You can see, really zoom into them and look at those. So we'll take a look at those, and then we will hop into the Mangomint platform as usual. So let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we will dive in, and I'll try to keep this moving along quickly for you. So let me go ahead and just bring up my slide deck that I have here. Okay, perfect. I am sharing my screen now, and just let me know if you can't see that. And if you have any questions, just drop your question in there, and anything that we don't have time for today, we will make sure that we follow up with you one-on-one after the webinar as well. All right, so we do have, all kinds of different reports available in Mangomint. These are all under the business reports category. But right now, I want to start by taking a look at a couple of our different business intelligence reports that we have. And I actually want to start with our appointments report that we have. So this report is really nice. It can help you understand insights about, how booked you are, and help you gain insights into things like client loyalty and see who that works for you is actually bringing in new business. So really awesome report here. So let me go ahead and just go to the next slide here. As you can see, this is a demo report that I have here with some demo data, but this is an example of the business intelligence appointments report. And as you can see it here, this is going to give you really nice insight into key appointment metrics. So things like your booked percentage, you could think of that like your productivity. You can see staff requests, so what clients are who are they requesting in your staff. You can also see really great data about walk-ins and pre-bookings as well. And something I want to point out here is that what you'll notice, and this will be a common theme as we go through these reports, but everything is going to be broken down by every single different staff member that you have. So I really like that. It's going to help you compare metrics and performance across all of your different staff members. So really like that. So now I want to actually walk you through some different insights that you could potentially get from the business intelligence appointments report. So let me go to my next slide here. So let's now drill in a little bit deeper. And first I want to talk about the hours data that you see here on this left side of the report in this hours columns here. So you can see the hours that are available, and then you can compare it with the hours that are booked. And that's going to give you your booked percentage. So you can also think of this as like productivity as well. So what you're going to notice here is we can see here this booked percentage. This is hovering right around 90% right here for this particular demo business that we're looking at. I think a best practice we often like to share is that typically, we like to see that productivity or this booked percentage somewhere around 80%. I think that is a good target for you to try to hit. And also keep in mind, this is definitely going to vary among your employees as well. And you can actually compare, different employees. You can see that Sam's booked percentage, for example, is pretty different from Anna's booked percentage at 94%. So something I also like to point out here, kind of another tip here, is that you can see this one is approaching 90%. So that is good. However, you don't want that to be too high as well, because if it's getting, 90, 95%, et cetera, then that could actually indicate that, maybe people are starting to have trouble actually getting into book with you because you're so busy. So that might be an indication in your business maybe it's time to think about freeing up more capacity. Maybe it's time to expand your capacity. Maybe it's time to hire more service providers, things like that. So definitely a good metric to keep an eye on there. Let me go to our next slide here. So now I want to look at the appointments data. And something that's really cool about this report is that you can see the appointments data for all clients. So you can see here, all of this data right here is for all clients. And you can also see specific appointments data for new clients as well. So I'm going to draw your attention back here to this requested column right here, the requested appointments. So what you're seeing, we have the number and then the total number, and then also the percentage, of times that a specific staff member was actually requested out of their total appointments. So I think this is a really good, indicator to look at. Really, we see this as an excellent loyalty indicator. So it's going to help you see, which of your staff members are getting specifically requested by their clients versus ones that are maybe just getting randomly booked with. So I think a good example, you can look here at someone like Lisa, for example. She was only requested, 7% of the time. And then you can compare that to somebody like Tom, who is requested nearly 70% of the time, for example. So it's really good to look at that and look at those loyalty indicators and compare that across your staff members as well. All right, so let's go ahead and keep moving along here. I also want to focus on walk-ins. So let's dig in on walk-ins data a little bit. So a really cool thing here is you can also look at the walk-ins data for all of your clients. And then we've also broken it down into walk-ins data for new clients as well, as you can see here. So if you notice, if you look at your walk-ins data, if you have a lot of walk-ins, obviously that indicates that your business is more short-term. And also you may have a mixture of this as well. Maybe you have a mixture of some walk-ins as well as a lot of people who are just booking standard appointments in advance and they're not walk-ins. So really, it's going to vary heavily depending on what business you have. And, in terms of like your business model. And maybe, for example, some of you might have a goal, for example, to have actually less walk-ins over time. And then you want more appointments booked in advance over time. So this is a really nice piece of data to look at in terms of your walk-ins for your appointments, and keep an eye on how that is changing over time and look for any trends there. All right, I'm going to move along now to pre-bookings. This is another really great data point to look at for this report. So a pre-booking, what that is it's an appointment that is created within 24 hours of the client's last appointment start time, or a pre-booking could also be an appointment that was created anytime before the client's last appointment start time as well. So, if you say you come in, you have an appointment scheduled, and then you have that hair appointment, for example, and you immediately, within a few hours, they have already booked their next appointment. So that would be an example of a pre-booking. So if we look at this example for this sample business, we can see that this business right here has their pre-bookings percentage is at almost 48%. And this is really cool because, again, you can look at this for every service provider. And I really like looking at pre-bookings because this is another really great indicator of client loyalty as well. Especially if certain clients have a higher percentage of pre-bookings, that means that that if certain staff members have a really high percentage of pre-bookings, then that means that their clients are really enjoying their services, feel like they're getting a lot of value out of them, and they want to continue booking with those staff providers. So this is definitely a great metric to, consider sharing this one with your staff members as well. That's very actionable. So I love looking at pre-bookings. All right, let me go to my next slide here. So lastly, on this appointments report, I think it's also super important to focus on the requested rate. And I really think it's important. Of course, you can see the requested rate for all clients, but then I really like how we've broken it out in this report. You can see the requested rate specifically for your new client. So again, that'll be here on the right side. And I think this is really nice. This is a very useful metric to compare, again, across all of your staff members, see who of your staff members, which one of them is actually bringing in new clients. And this could even give you an indication, for example, of maybe you have certain staff members who are actually more active on social media. Maybe they're promoting themselves more heavily. And so they actually have a higher percentage of new clients who are specifically requesting them. So I love looking at that. And this is a really cool indicator to just keep an eye on which of your service providers are bringing in more new clients. So I love looking at that too. All right, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're actually going to look at another report. So now I want to review, this is another really popular business intelligence report that we have, and this is our sales report. So what we're going to do here, and really this is going to tell us, are you missing out on opportunities to sell more? So if I go to my next slide here, so let's go ahead and take a look at some sample data that I have here in the sales report. So I really love the sales report because it's going to provide super helpful insights into key sales metrics. So, things like your average product total per sale for each staff member, you can find that in the sales report. And it's really going to tell you, what opportunities are you potentially missing out on when it comes to increasing your sales. So if I go ahead and let me go to my next slide right here. All right. And so one thing that I love about this report is that we've broken it out really nicely. So you can look at your average product sales versus your average service total as well. So you can understand, what share of your business is coming from your retail products, for example, versus services. And I will say, this one, some of these other reports we've talked about maybe some best practices or some, benchmarks you might want to try to hit. I think for this one, there's not a specific target here. This is going to be highly dependent on your specific business model that you have at your salon or spa. What we can see here, though, just to give you an example, if we look at this example business, if you look, their average product total is down here, and then the average service total is here. This $24 average works out to roughly about 14% of the total sales. So I think it's cool to look at that, because if you actually look at industry averages, I think right now the US average share of retail for a hair salon business has actually been somewhere around 14%, roughly, give or take, in the last few months here. So this is actually really cool, because in this data example, this business happens to be fitting that. They are right around that 14% with that share of retail. But again, there is not a specific target. This is going to be highly dependent on your specific business model. So some of you watching may have a lower share of retail that is going to, in terms of your product sales that are taking up the overall share. And then some of you are going to have a higher percentage there in terms of the average product total. So just something to keep in mind as well. And then if we go to the next slide here, let me go there. Okay, so for this one, something else I love to look at for the sales report is you can also look at the average number of products per sale. And you can see that here. This is that this last column there. And you can, again, look at this for every staff member that you have. I think this is really nice. This is super actionable. You can, consider sharing this data with your team as well. There's various different ways that you can influence this. And also, again, just like we were talking about with in just a minute ago, this is going to be highly dependent on your business as well. So there isn't necessarily a specific benchmark here to hit unless you want to set some goals for that. But, some of you watching, maybe you're incentivizing this number somehow, or maybe you want to think about putting in some type of program where you are incentivizing this a little bit more among your staff members. So definitely another really good one to keep an eye on in terms of how can we create more opportunities for the team to be selling retail products. Okay, so now let's switch gears again, and we're going to move along to another report here. So now I want to talk about another business report that we have, and this is the client retention report. So the client retention report, it's going to provide really great insights on how your business is performing. And, I'm sure all of you watching, you don't need me to tell you just how important client retention is to the health of your business. Client retention is so important. It can never be overlooked. It's such a foundational piece of building your business and, continuing to thrive as a business and continuing to grow. So you really need to do everything you can to ensure that you're, keeping your existing clients that you're getting in. Also, the more success you have with keeping your existing clients, that may also potentially help you reduce your marketing spend as well, because the more clients you're keeping, potentially the less new clients you need to run out and get to. So a lot of different reasons why you want to focus super heavily on client retention. We have a report dedicated to that. So let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on this one. As you can see here, this is an example of the client retention report. So what this is going to show you is this is actually going to specify how many clients from a specific selected time period have visited again within either 90 days, as you can see here, retained within 90 days, or retained within 180 days as well. And you can see this broken out for both existing clients as well as new clients. So just to give you a little bit of an example, let's say you ran this report for October 2023, and I'll show you in a minute, but inside of Mangomint, you can choose exactly what time period you want to look at for this report. So if you ran this report for October 2023, you would actually be seeing all of the clients that had an appointment in October 2023, and then whether they were retained for within 90 days and then within 180 days. So another pro tip I like to give you is that the range that you select should be a bit smaller or well-defined. So that's why in my example, I gave you a 1 month time period to look at. I think if you ran this report for say 6 months at one time, it's maybe harder to get good actionable insights out of it just because so much can happen in your business during that 6 month period. So I really like comparing a month to a month, for example. So maybe, for example, you want to run this report for January 2023, and then you run it again for December 2023. So much can change in the span of 12 months that could impact your client retention. So it can be really interesting to run this report for maybe a 2-week period or a 1 month period, and then compare it again to another 2-week period or a 1 month period and kind of see what that looks like. So just a little tip for you there. Okay, let me go to my next slide here. So, I really think it's important to think about what data is most relevant for your business as well when we think about these time periods. So some of you that are watching, you might want to focus on a 90-day retention period, for example. Others may want to focus more on that 180-day retention period. And this is also going to be based on the services you offer as well. So, again, it's going to vary. Now, when you're looking at your existing clients' data, another bit of a tip here for you is that generally what we've seen in our experience is that a good, general best practice to kind of shoot, or in terms of like a good benchmark to shoot for, is to target retaining roughly around 80% or more of your existing clients. So you can see here, we just put target here. In this example, this business that we're looking at, they're a little bit under that 80% threshold that we'd love to see, but they're not far off from it, especially with when you look at the data for retained within 180 days. You can see they're at 77%. So they're very close to that 80% benchmark that we would potentially like to see there. Also, we can look at new client retention as well. So let me go there. So if we look at new clients, we can, again, we can look at that column there for retained within 90 days and then retained within 180 days. When you're looking at new client retention though, and if you're comparing that to your existing client retention, naturally your retention of new clients is typically going to be lower. So, this one, it's a little bit harder to give a benchmark. I think in general, we advise if you can target around 40% or higher for your new client retention, then you're in a good spot. But again, just keep in mind that this is really going to vary a lot for everybody. All right, so that's just kind of a deep dive on our client retention report. And then next, I want to switch gears here. And for our last few minutes, we're going to hop into the Mangomint app. I'm going to show you guys where you can find all of these reports. And then I'll give you a little bit more information about some other reports as well that we have. So let me go ahead and go over there now. Perfect. And I will just make sure that you all can see this. All right. So now I have my Mangomint app pulled up here. So we are here, we are looking at my calendar screen, but to actually find all of our reports inside of Mangomint, all you need to do is just head over to the reports screen right here. So let me go ahead and click on reports. All right, and I'll just make sure you can see that, and I am zoomed in. So on the report screen, to find, these were in the report screen, you're going to see here, especially if you look here on the left side, that we actually have all different types of report categories here. So we've kind of organized these in a really easy way. So you can, look at the different categories. We have everything from staff reports to sales reports, things like that. But in today's webinar, we're really just focusing specifically on our business reports category. So if I scroll down here, let me just scroll down. You can see that we have all of these different business reports right here, and we've already been talking about some of those. So what I'm going to do is I will actually just quickly pull up those reports that we just covered so you can see how these look now that we're here inside the Mangomint platform. So let me first go back to that business intelligence appointments report that we were talking about first. So here is the appointments report. It's super easy to generate this report. Let's say, for example, that I want to just go ahead and generate a report for the last 2 weeks. I can just go ahead and select that time period. So I can click last 2 weeks. There's some additional settings there that you can, however you want to filter this in terms of what staff members you're looking at, the locations. In my example, I have multiple locations set up here. So I'm actually going to look at this data across 3 different locations, which is really great. So let me go ahead and generate that report. And as you can see, if we just scroll down, I can see all of that information about the hours, the availability, and then actually what hours were booked out of those available hours. I can, of course, see that data compared with all clients versus appointments for new clients as well. So it's really easy to come in here and generate that report for whatever time period that you need to. Let me now head over to the business intelligence sales report. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that one up. We were talking about this one before. Let's say, for example, that I want to look at this data for today, for example. So I'll just leave it here on today. I will go ahead and click generate. And then as you can see, we have all of the different data here in terms of the different sales for today. So really love this. Again, you can go through and just update those dates however you need to. You can even download a PDF as well if you wanted to do that. So really easy to run that report whenever you need to. And then let me pull up that client retention report as well for you. So here we have that. Let's say, for example, I wanted to go and look at the client retention for clients that were coming in for September of last year. So I can just go ahead and select the time period. And again, that says the time period of initial client visits. So let me go ahead and do September 2023. I'll go ahead and click that, generate that report. And as you can see, just like we were talking about before, now we can see all of the data in terms of how many clients were coming in, the total numbers of clients. And then we can see it broken out between existing clients and new clients. And of course, we can also see the percentages in terms of how many were retained within 90 days, and then how many were retained within 180 days. So really easy to just go in and look at that for the different time periods that you want to compare it to. So in addition to these reports that we've been talking about, we do have 3 additional business reports available in Mangomint that I want to make sure that we cover as well. So let's quickly take a look at those before we wrap up here. So I now want to direct your attention. We're still here inside of the business reports, but now let's take a look at the cash flow report. So really love this report. I've now clicked on that just to open that up here. The cash flow report, as you can see, in the details that are shown here, this is going to include gross and net totals for cash flow. So it's going to include all cash equivalent forms of payment. So think of things, like credit cards, checks, cash, etc. That will all be in this report. Of course, you can generate this for a specific time period as well. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to look at the last 12 months. I can just go ahead, choose that. Of course, you would choose the locations you want to see it for. Now we'll just go ahead and click generate. And as you can see here, again, this is my demo account. Some of the data may be a little bit wonky here just because it's for demo purposes. But you can see, all of the different data right here, and it's really easy to just zoom in and look at specific dates as well. So this is another really helpful report to be using. All right, so now I want to show you another report. We have 2 more to go over. The next one I want to look at is our business intelligence forecast report. So let me just pull that one up here. Again, this is another super helpful report just to keep in mind as you're exploring our reports and using these on a regular basis. So we're here on business intelligence forecast. I'll just go ahead and let's say, for example, I wanted to see the data for this week. I'll just go ahead and click generate. And so what this is going to do is it will provide insights into your future business metrics. So things like, insights about productivity and appointments booked. It's going to use your past data to kind of help forecast that for you as well. So we've generated that, just like all the other reports, you can generate this for any different time period that you wanted to. In this case, I just wanted to check out, some of the projections for this week, so the next few days. All right, lastly, there's one more business report that I want to cover with you today, and that is the appointment cancellations report. So let's click on that one. That is right here, appointment cancellations. So I really love this report because this is going to show client and appointment details for your canceled appointment. So it's going to give you really great insights into your cancellations, give you some data that you can act on, and try to reduce cancellations where possible as well. So let's just say we wanted to generate a report. Let's look at October, for example. So let me just go back here. I'm going to choose October 2023. Again, you can easily specify any date that you want to. Also, if you wanted to do a custom time period, you can actually do that as well. So you could set a really custom time period. Maybe you want to do 45 days or something like that. But in my case, I just want to look at October. So let me go back there, click that, and then we're just going to generate that. And then this is really great because you're going to see this really nice breakdown of every cancellation type that we have as well. So you can look here, if you actually scroll and we can look down in this type column, we can see it's really nice because it tells you, it differentiates. You can see one of them was just deleted, or we had a couple of them, for example, these were canceled because the express booking actually expired. We've also had, normal cancellation. We had a late cancellation. So I really love to see that data. It's really nice to be able to break it down by cancellation type. And of course, you can see the staff member information, who is the client. Maybe you'll start to notice there are certain clients that have a pattern of cancellation. You might want to look into that. So I really love this report as well. And also another little pro tip for you, for those watching, is that when you download this Excel report for the appointment cancellations report, you're actually going to be able to see even more details that you can't see right here. So when you get that Excel report, you'll actually open that up and you're also going to see additional information. So you'll see things like the client email address, you'll see the service and the service price listed out. You'll even have a column that's going to show you specifically who canceled the appointment. So I really love that enhancement. We added that a little while ago, but that's really nice because if you've ever been, playing the game of which staff member canceled so-and-so's appointment or something like that, this is going to make it super easy for you and your staff to know exactly, or whoever has access to this report to know exactly who canceled different appointments. You can see if the client canceled the appointment as well. So I really love that. You'll also be able to see appointment notes too. So definitely recommend, downloading that Excel file as well when you get a chance. Okay, so that is kind of an overview of our business reports. I do see we had a couple questions come in here, so let me just check those out. Okay, let's see here. So I'm looking, somebody has asked about the forecast report. So they said, does the forecast report take adjustments and tips into account? So that's a really good question. No, the forecast report does not. The forecast report is actually going to use the default service price for all appointments on the calendar to forecast, but it's not going to take into account adjustments, tips, things like that. So great question though, for sure. Okay, and then we have another question. Let's see here. I'm just checking this out. Okay. Oh, so somebody has asked, what is a walk-in appointment? This is going back to when we were talking, and when we were in the slide deck there, looking at the appointments report. So that is a great question as well. Let me actually go back to the business intelligence appointments report just while we're talking about that. And I'll just go ahead and generate that report again. Let's just say, for example, I wanted to look at the last 2 weeks again. We'll go ahead and do that. I'll just generate that. But a walk-in, and you'll actually even see a tip here. We have some help text that will show you. A walk-in, all that is defined as an appointment that is created within 1 hour before or 1 hour after the appointment start time. And the really nice thing is that the Mangomint system is going to keep track of all of that automatically for you. Another little tip here when it comes to our reports, for some of these reports, just like this appointments report that you can see here, if you scroll down after you generate the report, we always have this really helpful text in case we need to define, what is a pre-booking or what is a walk-in. So always double check that as well, because it'll clue you in on certain aspects of the report so you can understand it even better. So that is a great question as well. I love that. Thank you. Okay, well, I think we're actually at our time here. So if there's any questions that we didn't get to, we'll definitely make sure we're following up with you one-on-one after today's webinar. But I think that's going to wrap up today's feature spotlight. I will give you another recommendation as well before we part ways here. Definitely, as you're learning more about our reports, be sure to check out our Learning Center for more information. So we actually now have on our Learning Center, which if you just go to the Mangomint website, you can also access the Learning Center from inside of your Mangomint app. But if you go to the Learning Center, we actually have in-depth articles available for every single report that we offer. So those are going to be super helpful. Definitely go check out the Learning Center. And I also know that we did cover a ton of information in today's webinar, a lot of different details to keep in mind. So it's definitely a lot to kind of take in. So as you're going through and generating these different business reports that we talked about today, don't hesitate to start a chat with our team. If you have any questions that come up at all, we'll be able to help you out and kind of guide you through using these different reports. And also, if you have questions about other reports that we didn't cover today, definitely let us know too. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in today, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this webinar and really loved diving into our business reports with you all today. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you here next time. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.